Hello and welcome to the channel. Today what we're going to talk about is the T-Mobile Home Internet Service. And I'm going to share my experiences based upon the last 3 weeks that I've had this and let you know if this has been working for me or if it hasn't. Let's find out. Alright, so why this video? So this video is just a result of a lot of frustration, I would say, with my prior ISP. And I've watched a ton of videos from the community sharing their knowledge about T-Mobile Home Internet, so I want to thank all of you. There's been some great ones out there, and so I just wanted to sort of share my scenario with others, hoping that helps people make a decision, whatever works best for them. So my prior ISP had a monopoly in my area, and so really there was no choice. It was that ISP or nothing. Now you can probably guess who they are. It's one of the big companies around the US that basically has a monopoly over the internet and various areas that they serve. And so what I dealt with, I was with them for around 2 years, and the upload speeds were always really limited on lower plans, and you would never get what you were being promised. So if you were being promised 10 megs up, you never got it. It was always about 5. And then I found that with video calls, it just didn't work, and it was just frustrating for everyone involved in that call. So naturally, that forced me to go up to their 1 gig service so that I could get around 35 Mbps. And that worked. Like, that upload was great. As a result, it came with 1 gig down, which I didn't really need, but you know, hey, who's going to complain about having more bandwidth and sort of more throughput from that perspective? So, you know, it seemed to go well. The service was decent. I rarely got more than 800 megs though. That was, you know, some good marketing from their perspective. I would say it was usually around 500. And when I say this, I'm talking wired. So, you know, we're not really talking about Wi-Fi and, you know, contention. And the upload was stable. I would generally get 35, sort of without doubt. And so it worked from that perspective. However, what sort of, you know, threw me off the deep end was just my 1 year promotional pricing was up. I was already paying about $105 per month, and it was going up to basically 120, like 119.99, something like that. So it was an increase of another $15. I'm just like, when does this end with this particular provider? And so that's when I started to look at options. I'd looked at T-Mobile in the past, but it wasn't available in the area. That had recently changed. And so I'd been kind of watching T-Mobile and then started watching more videos on YouTube and found that people were having some pretty good success with it. So I wanted to find out for myself. So what attracted me to T-Mobile? I think number one, no contract. So if this doesn't work out, hey, no problem. Give back the device and, you know, move on. The $50 fee, so we're talking $70 difference for me, you know, between the two options. And so now I'm not going to get the same, you know, download. I'm not going to get the 1 gig or even 800 in this service. At least I know some people have been able to squeak out more performance with external antennas. That's not really my thing, but for now, I will have lower speeds, but I'm not overly concerned because they're still pretty good. Unlimited data is nice. Like my family does a lot of streaming, and we'll talk a little bit about more of that later. I almost went over once with the prior provider, and you know, it was get the warning, you know, next time you're going to get dinged, you know, whatever it was, $50. But who wants to sort of monitor their Wi-Fi or their data consumption these days? It just seems stupid. Another thing is no additional charge for router, right? So for basically the T-Mobile router that they give you, that's something that's included in the price. You know, I had bought my own with the other provider, otherwise you had to rent it, and that just seemed like another waste of money. So I'm super pumped that I don't have to pay anything additional for it. There's a bunch of apps that you can use to manage it. Probably too many apps, but all in all, like, it seems to work well enough for me. Strong upload. If anything, my upload's better on T-Mobile than it was with the old carrier, so that's really cool. And then also promos are pretty good. So I'm recording this on a Sunday. On Tuesday, as part of the T-Mobile goodies, I'm going to get MLB.TV for free. So if you like baseball, this is a nice plus. Now, people might be asking, well, what if I don't have T-Mobile as a cell phone? I'm in that boat. I don't have T-Mobile as a cell phone provider. But when you go to sort of register for those promos, it's going to try to send you like a 2-factor authentication code. And it's kind of like, well, where does that go? I don't have a phone. It actually goes over to your device. So if you go over to your device, there'll be a messages thing. You will actually be able to get your 2-factor authentication code from there and then be able to log into the T-Mobile Tuesdays app. So I think there's a misperception that you can't get that unless you have a mobile package, it's not true because I don't have a mobile package. It's working for me. Now, just a little bit about my setup. So, I do have this T-Mobile router. It is near a window. It is facing a tower. I did watch some prior videos. I think it was probably Nader Tater who was talking about using CellMapper to figure out which direction your tower is facing. I found one. It's not that far away. It's probably a mile away from my place. And as you can see, I've got like good connections. It's 5 bars. It's excellent. Even when I moved it to the back of the house, I was still getting 4 bars. And so still pretty pumped. And the performance was pretty good there, but I figured, well, might as well put it in the optimal place. So I get good, excellent signal. I have been plugging this into a wired network. So I will go ahead, take an Ethernet cable, plug it into this device, and then go ahead and plug it into my switch. And then off of that switch, I've got an existing mesh network as well. So I can still leverage all of my existing Wi-Fi setup that I was using, throughout the house for other devices and such. And so this has worked quite well. I've put a few devices connected directly against this device just to sort of compare and contrast. Performance is pretty good. Signal's pretty strong. I guess it depends on the size of your place, but if you have a mesh network, this will also work with that as well. Now, in terms of outcome, so I've been on it for around 3 weeks. I've had no outages. I've had no issues with several devices being on the network. So, security cams. We do a lot of streaming, so YouTube TV, Netflix, phones, etc. No issues there. No issues with many Microsoft Teams calls. So I did try it with Zoom actually as well. So there was no issue with Zoom, no issue with Microsoft Teams. The upload is strong and stable. And so I was expecting more drops, but I haven't seen that. It's been really good. Performance overall, it does vary, but it never gets low enough that I'm concerned. So I'm typically getting around 250 or higher when it comes to down, and that's on wired or Wi-Fi. And then uploads are consistently greater than 30 megabits per second. So pretty pumped from that perspective. This is a screenshot of just one of my top speeds. This was from earlier this morning. It was a Sunday morning, so probably the sort of network congestion was probably lower as a result, but that was one of my faster ones. So when I look at my old provider, which is probably what I would get on sort of a regular basis with that, I would not get that much upload. For me, it's been, this is good. This is good enough for me. Now, I would say the caveat is I don't do a lot of gaming, so I haven't been able to test it from that perspective. But for me, just as like a heavy sort of internet user, really, leveraging streaming content and having multiple people, multiple devices on the network, it's been strong from that perspective. So let's go ahead, let's do a test. We'll test on fast.com and speedtest.net, and we'll do both wired and Wi-Fi. Now, really not too much of a big deal because this is hitting my sort of existing sort of network infrastructure per se, but at the end of the day, it's the T-Mobile device that's feeding the pipe. So let's go ahead, let's do a couple tests. Okay, so those are the two results. So on speedtest.net, download ended up at 283, upload ended at 52. On fast.com, download was 280. Speed was a little lower. I haven't really seen this one, but these things are sort of do vary from time to time, and that was 21 Mbps up. So that was wired. That was off of a wired connection. We'll go ahead and flip over to Wi-Fi and try this again. Okay, so on wireless, so Wi-Fi 224 down, 16 up, which is really low, but on the fast.com 200 down, 33 up. So all in all, midday, so probably not too unexpected on a weekend. I'm sure that's playing a role here, but all in all, for me, based upon the price, it's a go for me in terms of sticking with T-Mobile. I've already canceled my other subscription with the other provider, and for me, it's we'll see what T-Mobile provides over the long term. So thanks for checking out this video. I don't do a whole lot of product reviews on the channel, but feel free to like, subscribe, and we'll chat with you later. Thanks.